All right, we're gonna let the room get filled up a little bit here. And we're going to get started. All right, we got an event coming up, y'all. Y'all get to come out to it. September the 19th through the 21st, the Original Americans Heritage Weekend. If you want to know more information, go to dralimel.com or give me a call at 910-364-9099, and we will be there. And my special guest for tonight is Arch-AriEL or Ariel Williams, and she will be going into DNA activation and plasma regeneration, sacred medicines for the healing of a nation, and biogenetic sovereignty. All right. We also will have on the land, you will set up your tents. There will be food available at Juice and More, as well as also you will hear from Arch-AriEL, myself, Dr. Alim El-Bey, as well as United Washington Shekamus or Chiefs, and as well as we will be doing sweat lodges ceremonies. So we have 100 acres of land, and we are inviting everyone out in order to participate in that weekend, which is only 10 days from now, September the 19th through the 21st. So come on out. All right. So let's get into the lesson for the night. All right. Of course, let's go through the history of the sun. And the sun is the personification. In many mythologies, the Greeks called it Helios. And the word Helios is taken from the Latin, which is called halo. And halo is taken from the ancient Egyptian, Kemetic, or what is known as the Tamarian, Haru or Heru, which means sun or light. And the Romans called it S-O-L, soul. S-O-L, soul, as in solar. So Nikola Tesla said this, and all this movement, from the surging of the mighty ocean to that subtle movement concerning in our thought, has but one common cause. All this energy emanates from one single center, one single source, the sun. The sun is the spring that drives all. The sun maintains all human life and supplies all human energy. All right? I don't think y'all comprehend the science of this. Because if you did, you would be calling right now. All right? I'm going to say that again. All this energy emanates from one single center, one single source, the sun. All right? The sun is the spring that drives all. The sun maintains all human life, animal life, and supplies all human energy and all animal energy. It animates. It's the animating force. This source, the sun. And so SOL correlates to SOUL. Okay? The same soul in which that we speak about with the sun, and the sun is able to turn a person's skin darker by sending photonic energy exchanging with the electron within your atomic structure, utilizing your melanocytes, which acts as black holes, causing you to darken. Ha! Okay. Darkness. As Rick James told Charlie and Eddie Murphy, he called them darkness. Okay? It's time for you niggas to be darkness. And it's the soul, the SOL, that correlates to the SOUL, which is your melanin. Your melanin is the physical component of the sun. Soul. And is received from the spiritual principle embodied in human beings, all rational and spiritual beings, or the universe. A person's total self. Starting with your skin. It says soul, the spirit or essence of a person, usually thought to consist of one's thought and personality, often believed to live on after the person's death. The soul is known within the ancient Kemetic scriptures as the Ba. It correlates with the Ka and the Aku. These three bodies survive death. Within the occult teachings, they're known as the glorified light body, which is the causal body, the spiritual body, which is the Ka, and the soul body, which is the Ba. The Aku is the causal body. So these three bodies, like an egg, the shell, the clear whitish part, and the yolk, the yellowish part, symbolizes the soul essence. So the shell symbolizes the Aku, glorified light body. The clear whitish part, the spirit. The yellowish part, called the yolk, the soul. So the spirit or the essence of anything. Life, energy, vigor. Number 3. 4, soul music. 5, a person, especially of any, as one amongst many. 6, an individual life. Okay, so this is how this all correlates. What say you, Archangel? Oh, let me see. Got you on here. See what's going on. All
Thank
right,
you
there
for
we
letting
go.
me back in. Yeah, I've been sitting here waiting to get back in. I had a little technical difficulty. But no,
Okay.
you on point. You know, you on point, God. I appreciate the knowledge you dropping on us. This is some heavy science, you know. Um, I've been given a lot of keys and understanding and a lot of clarity over the years. So I'm thankful, you know, to be a part of this build and be able to share what I've come into understanding about who we are and our connection to the divine and how it all works. Um, you know, we have a physical body that is feminine, right? The physical body is of the earth in terms of how it was generated here. Um, and it's of the mother. So that's how we know the body's feminine and it comes from the feminine source, which is the Mother Earth. However, the soul is of the Father. You know, it's the energy, it's the divine spark. It's dealing with the solar energy, which is dealing with the sun. So, um, from that perspective, um, you know, we have the ability to channel in as much light as we, you know, desire to, based on our relationship with these primordial forces and how we, you know, work through different aspects of connecting with nature, working with, uh, you know, these forces in terms of utilizing that solar energy in order to ground in and anchor in more of that in the light body. And there's an order to this. So the physical body gets a lot of its coding and intelligence from the light body. The light body gets pretty much is the blueprint. It holds the blueprint to how your physical body shows up, which is condensed light, as we know, right? So um, we know the body is condensed light because our cells are made of light and they have come together in a very tight space in order to project the essence of what you are in the flesh, and it appears to be physical, but ultimately it's made of this condensed light. So the the body that holds that coding and that blueprint is the light body, the rainbow body. Now the rainbow body, aka the light body, gets its coding and instruction from the oversoul, and that is pretty much the mothership of your consciousness. Now the oversoul gets a lot of its light and energy from the solar energy itself, the sun. um, there is a connection to the divine source and all and that, but this is pretty much kind of like an order to how the energy comes down. So if you channel in more solar energy from the light, the sun, and bring it into your soul, that energy can be brought into your light body, not only to strengthen the light body, but also enhance and upgrade the light body in terms of how it expresses itself and all of the attributes that are carried within that bandwidth. And then that insight and information and wisdom gets um, ushered into the physical body, which is why some people have more power, more energy, more supernatural abilities than others, because they carry more light within the light body that is able to emanate in the third dimensional reality, in the physicality, if that makes sense.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. And to correlate with that, let's check it out. Breath. is the physical counterpart of the mind. The mind used the cerebral cortex of the brain, the two hemispheres, as it tool, as its tool to come down. This pranic force, which is what? It says, so breath is mind in action. Once again, so breath is mind in action. The breath is the spirit, the ka of the body. The breath provides the pranic force to the organism. And this pranic force works as the air element, creates movement, pulsation, vibration, and life. The word spirit comes from the Latin word spiritus, which literally means breath. Literally means breath. Mind and consciousness are abstract terms, whereas breath is a physiological reality. I can't see your mind and I can't see your consciousness, but I can see you breathing. All right, get this book, Breath, Mind, and Consciousness. Arch-AriEL. Get that book. All right, because we know that it's through the science of breathing that you control prana, which is the underlying force of oxygen. So according to the scriptures of the Swara Yoga, Shiva Shravodaya, and the Guyana Shravadaya, the lifespan of a man is measured not in years, but in number of breaths. The number of breaths. In other words, the number of spirits. At the rate of 15 breaths per minute, or 18 breaths per minute, which is the average beast breath, a human life is comprised of a total of 946,080,000 breaths, a full 120 years. By reducing the length of the breath and simultaneously the breath rate, one's lifespan increases. Breath is prana. The breathing process itself is a neuron or the neuromotor action, since inhalation and exhalation, which is centrifugal force and centrifugal force, are done with the help of the nerves. Breathing is controlled by a cycle of electromagnetic impulses. And electromagnetic energy passes downward from the medulla oblongata to the solar plex region, causing the continual process of expansion and contraction of the lungs, which carries the electric and magnetic impulses to the controlling diaphragmatic muscle that is refined to a subtle medium called solar prana. Therefore, breath is the physical counterpart of the mind. Once again, breath is the physical counterpart of the mind. The mind is, once again, the breath is the mind in action. Spirit and breath are synonymous, which is called shu, as in Yeshua. Jesus, the breath of life. That's the real Jesus. Will the real Jesus stand up?
And I thought that was powerful how you made that correlation to the halo that Jesus has around him, and that we're all supposed to have that light and that glow and that halo around us. It's not
You
just
got that glow. You got that glow. You know you got that glow. Last Dragon. Kiss my Converses, niggas. So, breath, spirit connects the organism with consciousness. And that consciousness is solar energy. It comes from the sun. Speak on that, goddess.
Yeah, the solar energy comes from the sun. That's why you have a soul. You have a solar plexus, which is your a big part of your soul, but a lot of your soul consciousness is actually not here. It's offline because it's too immense of an energy to be contained in this limited vessel and experience. So um, this is why some people are considered in NPCs. There's degrees to how much of your soul's essence that you can harness and you can actually contain within the body, and that's based on how much light and how much voltage that you're able to amass and contain, especially as melanin dominated beings. So the way that I would see and say it is that you want to be able to um, expand the cosmic intelligence, which is the light and the solar energy. But in order to house a certain level of cosmic intelligence, the body has to be extremely electromagnetic. The nutrients and minerals have to be immense and really, adequate for that, as well as the body needs to be alkaline in order for you to hold that charge and that level of information, because it takes a certain charge and a certain amount of voltage to be able to hold and retain certain levels of information, which is light and consciousness. So you have to raise your vibration, you have to purify your body, and you definitely have to get rid of the parasites, because with the parasites, um, that's pretty much like a system in the army of bugs. Parasites are bugs, right? And you can't be an informant against yourself. So your higher self and your oversoul and your higher consciousness won't let you hold certain levels of light and consciousness if you're heavily saturated with parasites, because they pretty much are not allowed to be privy to divine insight and information, because their frequency and vibration is too low. So once you eradicate enough parasitic energy through the oculus, when you expand that electromagnetic field, you'll be able to see what was there before the parasites, which leads you to the akasha. And the akasha, a lot of it is inside of the bone marrow, because the akasha is the vault. So, we want to get inside that vault and pull out those jewels and pull out that wisdom that's locked into the bones. And the way that you do that is first you purify the body, and then you amp up the right nutrients and minerals, which is what I specialize in. This is what my work is about. This is what I promote in terms of purification, sacred medicine work, breath work, different forms of pranayama and kundalini yoga. So this definitely all resonates and is right up my alley, and we can definitely dig more deeper into this as we get further into this conversation.
Right. So we know that breathing affects the whole body. It affects the nervous system, the heart, the digestive system, muscles, sleep, energy levels, concentration, memory, and much more. Breathing is also the largest system for waste removal. 70% of the waste produced in the body is supposed to be removed via breathing. 20% removed via the skin, and only 10% remains for the kidneys and the digestive system. But most of you think that if you have a good piss and a good shit, that you got it all out. And this is what the goddess is talking about. The Archangel Ariel that's what she's telling you right now. Is that no, you need additional cleansing. She has products in which that correlates to that additional cleansing. And I can bear witness because I've used them. I've been taken through ceremony, through ritual. And what she used is real. It's real. It works. And I wouldn't be telling you this if it didn't work. This is no cap. This is all fact.
Thank you for putting it out there and letting the folks know. And just to give you guys a little background about me and my work, I've been a sacred medicine woman for many lifetimes. Majority of my teachers are in the astral, which are ancestral figures that are highly benevolent, highly intelligent, and have a heavy hand in the work that I come up with in terms of like the way that I construct my medicines. And I'm pretty much right at this point reading from a very ancient book that is in the Akasha, because I've unlocked my DNA and unlocked certain gifts to that degree, and I've proven myself worthy of such, to where this sacred book that I'm able to read from and derive recipes from is giving us direct access to unlocking our DNA in a way that is going to be historical and biblical, and you know beyond what we can fathom in terms of how this transformation can unfold. There's no limit to the level of power that we can unlock within the human body, and my incarnation objectives is to not only prove that, but display that in real form, in real time. And it's exciting to be able to be here and speak on Brother Dr. Alim El-Bey's platform, because the work that he's spoken to and has put down throughout the years fits right in with what the work that I do is about, and they go hand in hand, and they confirm and validate each other, and allow space for us to experience what I consider and call biogenetic sovereignty. So I do want to delve into what these aspects of biogenetic sovereignty mean, and what it means to us, and why we need to um, prioritize this as a focus within our community as a collective. Because Dr. Alim Bey, you've been focused on sovereignty for some time now, but the biogenetic aspect of sovereignty, if that piece is not in place as a foundation, it's going to be hard to get up into the higher aspects of the sovereignty that will come after this foundation, because we're dealing with the root chakra of sovereignty when we're dealing with biology, and we're dealing with our anatomy, and we're dealing with our genetic engineering, because it's apparent that we're being reverse engineered on a multitude of different levels, and the response to that has to be um, more intense in terms of how we rebraid our DNA. And it's going to have to be done through nature, natural resources, and it's going to have to be done with intense regimens that will, purify the body on a multitude of levels, as well as amplify the antenna within the melanin that reaches the sun and pulls in those light codes to reconstruct and reconfigure the DNA, versus allowing outside entities to do that for us, because they're not doing it for us. They're actually doing the opposites. And this is why we're having the issues we're having. The body is a supercomputer, and it is a superconductor of light, which is technology, it's consciousness, it's intelligence. And if the body is a supercomputer, and we can agree that the body is the most advanced supercomputer on the planet, then it would be safe to say that that computer can talk. And it can be safe to say that computer can make executive decisions for our well-being without having to go outside of it. However, what happened as to where we are not thinking along these lines, and we're not honoring our sacred temple in this way? And how do we um, reboot the supercomputer to be able to behave this way at very high levels of functioning so that we can operate this supercomputer as a biogenetically sovereign entity that works in harmony with us and not against us, because we're not honoring it and honoring the primordial forces of natures and the laws of natures, which again, these are my teachers. The sun is my teacher. The stars are my teacher. The earth is my teacher. The moon is my teacher. The water is my teacher. The animals are my teacher. I'm connected with all aspects of nature. And this is why I'm able to be clear on who we are, what we are, and where we are in the timeline and what needs to be done in order to activate our DNA fully. And I want to give a shout out to Dimensional Tiger. It's a really good friend of mine that dropped some seeds on me earlier on in life, and I've started to um, utilize some of the principles that he's shared with me in conjunction with the ancestral energies that I work with and the primordial energies that I work with in order to create a system of alchemy, which my brand is Angelic Alchemy, by the way, that supports our melanin and its ability to be a superconductor for the light codes of the sun, which there used to be a time where we used to eat directly from the menu of the sun. We were vibrating at a much higher frequency. Our genetics were stronger. Um, we didn't even have to go to the gym, and we were just chiseled, and we had really, like, our bodies were immaculate. But it was through the light codes of the sun that just, kept everything tip top at the highest of the heights in terms of how um, things looked and how things were channeled. I mean, even to the point and the degree of our ancestors actually building the pyramids, this is how it was done. It was done through being a superconductor of these, ultraviolet rays and um, coronal mass ejections that were allowed to be utilized as a force to charge the body to the degree that the body began to hold high levels of voltages. And these high voltages were able to be utilized to lift several tons and also channel in supreme mathematics at degrees that are unfathomable to everyday humans, as well as a multitude of other things, anything that you can think of under the sun. Because remember, the sun gives direction to every living thing on the planet. It tells everything what to become next. And we just had a conversation the other day, and I posed this question, but I'm going to kick this conversation off with the same question so we can go a lot deeper into what this is about. And this question is that if a plant and, let's say, a tree can, under the photosynthesis act, go from a seed to a fully blossomed, beautiful expression, or bear fruit through sunlight, right? What can your melanin do being exposed to the sun? And why isn't it doing it? And what is the answer to how the melanin can operate as a superconductor once again, so that you can fully come online and be the best version of yourself and be clear about who you are, what your gifts are, and what you're really supposed to be doing on this planet? Because right now, that's of the utmost importance. People are losing jobs. People are afraid because AI is taking over and all of this and that. But ancestral intelligence is the answer, because when you tap into the ancestral intelligence, with the primordial forces of nature are your ancestors as well. That's going to give you clarity. It's going to show you who you are, and what your most authentic expression of being is. And that is going to allow you to create and manifest at a rate that people could never pay you to stay. Your time is precious and your time is valuable, but right now your time is being wasted because you don't know who you are and you lack the biogenetic sovereignty in order to move forward in your true purpose. So we're gonna get into that today. So how we can liberate ourselves from this system through really truly purifying ourselves on a deep level, and talk about the parasites and how to fully eradicate them so that you can see clearly into your vessel because the kingdom is within. Ashe.
Sure. So we find out that oxygen has 8 electrons, 8 protons, 8 neutrons. So oxygen is 888. Now, if you do research and more study, you find that oxygen is a gas and prana is a subtle force or energy that is within oxygen. It is also within food. And of course, as the God has just said, it's within sunlight. Now we know that the food is poison. It's in water. We know that the water has been poisoned. It's in the air in general. And we know that they have poisoned the air. Why have they done this? Why are they trying to block out the sunlight? Because everything they're doing is trying to stop you from receiving prana, stop you from receiving chi. Because the body absorbs prana, chi or ki energy from the elements that contains it and uses it. Think about it. They want your energies at a low level. So they made GMO food, processed food, food that has steroids, food that has herbicides, fungicides. All these poisons in it.
Got niggas walking around looking like Cornish hens.
Right. Got the water, fluoride, fecal matter, carcinogens. They got the air, nanotechnology, bacterial spores, aluminum, strontium, etc. They doing all of this to stop you niggas from receiving the solar phatic energy, the sunlight.
How did it feel? Tell me about that. I want to know, and I'm sure your audience does too. Like, how does it feel when you really purify the body being out in the sun? Because I don't really feel that people really know what the sun feel like.
Right. Well, when you are out in the sun and you have purged yourself and you are repairing yourself, and let me tell you this, I went through the goddess training this past weekend. And like I said, it's real. It's the realest thing that I've had in my life thus far.
Shame.
The way that she synchronized her medicines, my head was on fire. The fire moved down to my shoulders, my arms, eventually my torso, my thighs, on down to my feet, and my whole body was like flames on, like I was Johnny from the Fantastic Four. Flame on, niggas.
How does that feel? I mean, like, I know you
The
said
tingling,
fire.
the tingling, the fire is more than just tingling. I mean, it actually feels like like fire, you heat up. And I knew then that my pineal gland was fully activated and that I developed the golden dragon body around my head called the halo or Helios, the sun. I truly became the SON of the SUN.
And you embody that energy so well because at that point I'll say, yo, Alim is definitely a ascended master because you couldn't even tell what was going on with him. He was so cool, calm, and collected, and just chilling, doing his breath work and meditating. And still, I was like, wow, okay, that's a level, you know. Definitely want to be present with this level of energy because it is very powerful, very intense, and very life changing. The light type of light codes and energy that you're able to invoke and embody in that space, and then to be able to come out of that space and retain all of that wisdom and a lot of that vibration without feeling drained and without feeling like you stepped out of your square as the human you are to do something that your body was taxed. No, this is something that is a sustainable life force energy that must be invoked in order for you all to anchor in higher light codes and a deeper level of current, which converts to currency, which converts to fiat, as well as um, just creativity in all different forms, and just pure sheer genius. This is about invoking the genius within us as melanated beings because we are, by birthright and genetics, those who are able to carry the highest charge and voltage of light. That's why they call us the Hebrew Israelites because it is the light within us. And I look like my work. You can see the light in me. And I'm really just getting started, you know? Because
Yeah,
I mean, I've been shining all my life because I'm a daughter of Ra, but we are supposed to be so bright that and so charged with energy that if somebody stands in our auric field, they could lift 50 tons. This is how charged we're supposed to be energetically. But it takes work. It takes taking your time and gently working through the levels. But when you guys are coming to these events that we're going to be having in the future, where we're going to come together, we're going to do a lot of the purification work, and we're going to work with these alchemies and these medicines that's going to, give you the energy that you need. You will see the difference. And it will be a sustaining energy, not a fleeting moment, but a sustaining energy that you're working towards every single day to improve your quality of life and to fully activate your DNA so that you could be free and you could be in a space where things flow according to your will and um, the universe bends to your command because you are in your Heru and your Netaru energy.
right. And let me say this in language that niggas understand. Nigga, if you got high blood pressure, bring your ass. If you got diabetes, bring your ass. If you got damn multiple sclerosis, bring your ass. If you got a nervous condition, bring your ass. If you got any health issues and you need healing, bring your monkey ass. Because we're talking about DNA activation and plasma regeneration. And you ain't gonna get that shit nowhere else but right here.
Because I'm gonna come out on a limb and I'm gonna just say this: all majority of these detox, these herbal detox people out here promoting is all regurgitated bullshit. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you're not talking about stem cell activation and mitochondrial DNA activation, And intercellular purification, you ain't talking about nothing. And most of them not talking about that. They're not talking about pulling out higher ranking energies from out of the bones that can go inside of the cell and do a scan and look and see what entities are supposed to be there that are a part of the original genetic code and who are the foreign invaders, and strip the metal that they've surrounded themselves in and kick them out of the cell, since most of them like to pretend to be a part of the immune system, which is how and where you get autoimmune conditions from, because you get foreign parasites that are very intelligent, and they know how to hide from the herbs, because the herbs can only do so much. They can only go so far. They're not intelligent enough to just go out of their way to go inside your cell and pull these parasites out. But your mitochondrial DNA can, the stem cells can, and when they go in and they kick them parasites out of the inside of the cell, now it's like going from VIP to the general admission. Now they beat up, they in the general admission. Now the herbs can come in and they could flush it out the body and act as a binder to pull that out of the body, seeing that it's outside of the inside of the cell now, and it's been subdued and it's been weakened. But prior to that, if you're taking herbs, really you're just pissing them parasites off, because they're gonna be like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. Let me burrow myself deeper. Let me go inside of the cells, because the parasites are smarter than you think they are. They want to survive just like you. So now that they hide inside your cell, when you done fasting and when you done detoxing, they finna order up all the room service they can, because they feel like you just threaten their life. Now you wondering why you just craving all this, low food, even though you just got off a fast. You don't know why. Or 6 months later, you did a parasite detox 6 months ago or 3 months ago. Now you back to square one because you didn't get rid of the parasites in the first place. So that's what my medicine does. My medicine is an intercellular medicine that goes in and it purifies the inside of the cell. And it also activates um, the stem cells and the mitochondrial DNA to um, create a lot more energy. It makes more fire come in. It pulls more light in to burn up those parasites. So now you're heating up the temperature of your body, which is the kundalini. And a lot of people have a misconception about that. They think that kundalini is just something that's an intense heat that goes up your spine. No, your whole body is supposed to be inflamed. And the polarity of that is inflammation. So if you want to get rid of inflammation, you need to activate your kundalini fully and become inflamed, and that will break down all the calcification and break down all you know parasitic energies and all the heavy metals and the plastics. They use all of that stuff to hide in, but we're going to be getting rid of all of that, pushing it out the body and bringing in more light, because nothing chases a parasite down, and a parasite can't stand the light. Nothing does it. Nothing gets rid of a parasite better than the light itself. But your body, most people, their body is not receptive to sunlight. That's the biggest issue that we have, that a lot of people aren't talking about as well. You're not receptive to sunlight because your D3 receptors are atrophied. They're shut down. It's kind of like, when you look at your skin and you see on your thighs you got a bunch of little black dots all over. Like, that's like, it looks like it's supposed to be a part of your skin, but it's really not. You got to get all of that. You got to soak and get your full body scrub on, and just put you some castor oil on, and take you some high dose of D3, and open up them D3 receptors. But once you open up them D3 receptors, that's just half the battle. The other aspect and half of the battle is to magnetize the light codes in. Magnesium is what you need in order to magnetize the light, because the magnesium has a magnet in it. So when you're dealing with D3, you're dealing with electricity. You're dealing with the divine spark. You're dealing with the sun and the solar energy. When you're dealing with magnesium, you're dealing with the feminine. the receptive energy, the magnet, the one that's going to pull. So now you have electromagnetism. Let's talk about calcification. Can we talk about that real quick, Doc?
Yeah, no doubt.
So basically, um, people think that the pineal gland is calcified, and that's the issue that we have as a collective. It's been calcified for many generations. Correct, that is true. However, nobody's talking about the fact that the entire vessel is calcified from your feet to your crown. That's why a lot of y'all are stiff, and that's why y'all got a lot of problems. That's why you can't hear your ancestors, because you got calcification in your ear, you got calcification in your pineal gland, you got calcification in your heart, and your kidneys, and your liver, and all of your organs, and your entire endocrine system. What is calcification? A lot of people don't know that. Calcification is calcium, hence the word calcification, calcium. Calcium does a body good when it's in the bones. It does a body bad when it's in the soft tissues, um, in the bloodstream. So what my medicine does is it takes the calcium out of the soft tissues like the pineal gland and all of the soft tissue organs, and it ushers it into the bones. And when the calcium goes from the pineal gland and these other glands and organs into the bones, it turns it into stem cells and mitochondrial DNA. So you're talking about a really high level, high powered system of alchemy and synergy that is turning on certain faculties, because you're taking calcium out of one part of the body and you're actually putting it into where it needs to be and where it belongs. So on the inside, that looks like deep purification and intercellular, parasite removal. And on the outside, it's looking like boom, you're pulling in light, you're channeling in new consciousness, new information, new light codes. That's also going to get rid of the parasites, but also going to reprogram your DNA and your cells to vibrate out of higher octaves and higher frequencies. Being an archangel, we're very good at these type of assignments in terms of you know, building a bridge between the human body and the sun, because when you're dealing with archangels, you're dealing with angles of light. And that's what the sun is. It's bringing in angles of light through the flower of life, which is angles of light, and it's coming in through into the somatic cell at varying degrees, varying angles. And as it comes in through varying degrees and varying angles, again, we got to have the magnetism in order to pull those light codes in at a higher rate, so that those light codes can hit the somatic cell at a very deep level, and on all sides in a very well-rounded way, which will in turn make your toroidal field well-rounded, because it's the somatic cells that emanate the toroidal field as a projector that makes it look well-rounded. So it's a really, really fascinating science. And, we get into all these kind of discussions at our lectures on the land and deep in ceremony as well. We do a lot of acupuncture to open up the body and allow the energies to flow through the meridians. And then we even work with the singing bowls to vibrate certain energies out of the body. And one thing that you guys will find that is extremely fascinating, yet nobody really talks about as well, is that all of these things like the singing bowls and the tuning forks and even the Om chants, these are just reminders to get your body to vibrate, because your body naturally is supposed to constantly vibrate. This is why when people take psychedelics, they are looking to have certain experiences and see certain things, because it activates and opens up the pineal gland, but it also makes the body vibrate in different parts. You'll feel different parts of your brain and your organs and your body vibrating, your skin tingling and all of that. But this is supposed to be a natural occurring phenomenon within the human body, not even to the degree that it's a phenomenon. Advanced sensory perception shouldn't even be advanced. It should just be the way your senses perceive things. But because we've been so nullified and atrophied, and we're so dense, now it's like a miracle when it happens. So we're going to be, our objective is to normalize what's considered miracles so that we can, anchor into a higher timeline. This is what this work is about.
Now, if y'all want to contact the goddess Ariel, her number is 954-860-4449. That's 954-860-4449. Contact her, learn more about her products, because I'm telling you right now, I've taken products. I've taken Dr. Sabi's products. I've taken D-herbs. I've taken all these different products over the years. And I can tell you for a fact, nobody's shit work better than hers. I just got to be honest. As far as the quickening of healing, you're talking about one day. But hers was in a ritual, in a ceremony. The ancestors came. When she was dancing, I seen the Twa people dancing with her. This is how real this is. This is no joke.
What do you
Okay.
see about in terms of like how this medicine is advancing us? What can you see in the future with the way we're working with this medicine in conjunction with the forces of nature and how potent the medicines are in your experience so far in a few days?
Look, it's real simple. If I was feeling like that within one day, I can imagine how I would feel in a month's time. Okay.
Yeah, it's real. Hmm. Yep. And it's the thing about it too is that I feel that us as melanated beings have been so conditioned to go outside of our genetic stock in order to receive any kind of so-called um, medicine. um, I mean, not even we're not even gonna go there with pharmaceuticals, but just a lot of stuff just isn't really giving what it's supposed to be. It's not giving the life force that's necessary for us to get deeper into what this technology really is. It's just keeping us afloat. So if you guys want something that's going to bring you beyond that threshold of just staying afloat and actually fully coming online, um, then I'm somebody you definitely would want to work with for sure. Um,
No
Most
doubt.
of my clients that work with me are psychonauts, so a lot of the work that I've done in terms of my most recent system, which is called the plasma regeneration regimen, which is what he's referring to, which has 5 different components and 4 different tiers in terms of the intensity of the medicine. You would have to start off at the lower tiers in order to be able to be prepared for what the higher tiers would do, because that's kind of for advanced people. But even at the lower tiers, it's really life changing. You just hit the ground running. But this is something that I wanted for a lot of my clients that are looking to do advanced work with psychedelics and purify themselves to prepare themselves for the journey, because that's not talked about enough. And I've been doing sacred medicines, especially things like mushrooms and DMT. I make my own DMT. I make my own changa. I make my own animal medicines, like serpent venoms. I work with the Campbell. I also work with the Toad. I make my own vape pens. I mean, I make my own version of ayahuasca. You know, I make the God Body brew, and he can tell you about that too. But these things require a very intense level of purification. So I just being in the field that I'm in, and so many people relying on me for these sacred medicines and the journeys, I owe a responsibility to the collective and community to offer some form of purification, even beyond just being able to recommend it as something that needs to be done. It's just something that I wanted to be able to offer for those that wanted the real deal. So that also inspired me, as well as just, some things in my bloodline in terms of illness and, the challenges around losing my mother when I was 25. And my sister recently transitioned a few months ago in the same fashion due to complications that were surrounding diabetes and then ultimately renal failure. It was really devastating to me, and I didn't want to see that for myself or anybody else in my family. So it was pretty much a war cry to me, because I felt like the things that they went through, they didn't have to go through had I known what I knew now. So, I'm just stepping up for my people and the people that I'm meant to assist, so that we could be the best versions of ourselves and be as healthy as possible by doing true purification work, and then also working with the sacred medicines in a very powerful, sacred way. Because a lot of people are kind of locked out of being able to get into high doses of sacred medicine, because the body is too dense and too toxic, and they have too much trauma and too many things that need to be purified and healed at the ground level before they actually step into the deeper end of the swimming pool. And this is what we do. We want to make sure that you have all the ancestral tools that you need and for serious levels of healing and also transformation. Because healing, I honestly am starting to see that as a fad and a gimmick too. There's life beyond healing. um, this is about technology. Again, this is about biogenetic sovereignty. This is about accessing higher light codes that will rewire your DNA to be self-sustaining on a multitude of different levels, even when it comes to your discernment and what you need, and listening to your body, and not listening to people who don't know anything about your DNA and your body to tell you. We got to do better, people. It's time for us to step up and take more accountability and responsibility for our health. But it's not as hard as you think. It's not nowhere near as hard as you think. Um, but once again, yeah, this is a new regimen that, although I've been channeling a lot of the information that came into this since 2020, and I started working with it myself in 2021. Um, Put it aside for a few years and went into some other projects and brought it back out in 2025, and was able to invest heavily in the work and the research as a project and the branding to bring it to you all on a level that I'm able to bring it to you now, not only through just being able to place an order and getting it shipped, but also holding space ceremonially with the medicines, so that you can see in real time the transformation that is possible. So regardless of if you want, ceremonial work, or you want to do your own healing journey, you want to just purchase the medicine, both options are available. You can reach out to me personally. I'm also working on my Instagram, but right now I'm on Facebook. I'm also friends with Dr. Alim El-Bey on Facebook. There's a plethora and wealth of information on my Facebook. You guys can follow me as Ariel Williams on Facebook. Um, or you can hashtag Angelic Alchemy to find me on Facebook. And eventually I'll be announcing my Instagram that should launch in about a week. I spend a lot of time in the astrals and in the ethers and in the lab and in ceremony. So I don't really have a huge social media presence, and purposefully so, because the revolution will not be televised. It will be telepathic. And that's what we're here for. We're here to connect energetically, and get away from all of these technologies that are um, really preventing us from tapping into our technology. Because once we tap deep enough into our technology, we won't need any of this technology because we'll be fully online, deeper than any of this stuff can offer us. And that's something that is just unfathomable at this time, but we know it's real because you could just think about somebody and then they'll call you minutes later. That goes to show you have an antenna, you have an internal dialing mechanism that works. And if you honor that and you follow the breadcrumbs of that, the rabbit hole gets much deeper. So it just comes down to what you really want. You got to make a decision if you really want to follow the path of the ancestral intelligence, or you want to just deal with the artificial stuff. I deal with the artificial stuff here and there. I'm not here to knock it like that, but at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, I'm gonna be standing on the side of ancestral intelligence all day. I'm very clear about that, and that's what we're rocking out with. So I hope that I do see you guys in ceremony, or you guys come through, and we can really show you guys in real time how we're moving with this energy, because it's really divine, and it's an honor to be able to work with the Washita tribe, because you guys are a really beautiful clan of people, and I know for a fact that you guys are going to really be able to take this work to the next level, and it's going to really really allow us to come together as a people and do even greater work once we really open up the floodgates of the genius and the wellness and the higher activated aspects of ourselves through these protocols that we're working.
Now, if y'all seen my video on beast, man to God, I explain in there about what Dr. Edward Robinson was talking about. He broke down how there was various scientists from around the world who came together and they did research on the great ape species and humans, their connection. And so he found that the orangutan had 3 DNA series. The gorilla had 4 DNA series. The chimpanzee had 5 DNA series. The European and Asians or Orientals had 6 DNA series. Humans who might be melanated but don't have the barytheric gland or the epiphany gland, they're just regular humans with 7 chakra system. They have 7 DNA series. Then you have those who have 8 DNA series. They are the Anunnakian. And they have the barytheric gland or the epiphany gland, but they don't have both. Then you have the Syrian beings. They are the seeders of this planet Earth. And their descendants are those who still have both glands, who has the epiphany gland and the barytheric gland. And they have 9 DNA series, and they have the highest possibilities of genius. You're looking at 2 of them right now. I have both of them. The goddess have both of them. This is something that you can check on yourself as well as check on others. And therefore, you would know who's who on planet Earth. Are you dealing with a human? Are you dealing with an Anunnakian? Are you dealing with a Syrian being? Or are you dealing with a great ape, a Sasquatch, a Neanderthal? Anyway, let's get to the book. The Human Body of Light by Mitchell Gibson. Dr. Mitchell Gibson, he write about the fact that the human body is light. And so you're talking about crystallized light or frozen light. And so he speaks of the Tibetan chant, in which that is Om Ahang Vajra Guru Pima Siddhi Hang. Om Ahang Vajra Guru Pima Siddhi Hang. And this particular chant creates the rainbow body, which is said to be the final level of attainment in a lifetime. Now, what does this chant mean? Well, we know that Om symbolizes reality itself, is the primordial sound of the universe, is the sound created via the Big Bang, as they refer to it as. The various insects make that humming or Om sound. Flies, bees, bumblebees, gnats, etc. Ah signifies the total, unchanged perfection, symbolic to the three bodies of Buddha, or Ptah. Hum, or Hung, represents the manifestation of enlightenment. Vajra symbolizes the thunderbolt, represents the energy of the enlightened mind. It also, Vajra also translates the diamond, which is the final level within the goddess tier, as she just talked about. You have copper, you have gold, you have platinum, and you have diamond. Diamond is the final level. Vajra. Guru means wise teacher. Pidma means calling to mind the purity of the enlightened mind. It's the lotus flower, the petals of life, the flower of life. Siddhis is talking about accomplishment of the supernatural powers. In other words, taking your 5 seemingly regular senses, sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing, to the next level. Touch to psychchemistry, hearing to clairaudience, seeing to clairvoyance, smell to clairsentience, taste to clairgustance. Higher levels, telepathy or telepathic, levitation, etc. And the last hum symbolizes so be it, the wisdom of the mind, the sacred catalyst of the mantra, the proclaiming of truth and power. Okay? So we talk about the rainbow body, and here's a demonstration of the rainbow body. Lama Achuk Rinpoche, he manifested the rainbow body. Corinthians 15:52 speaks of the rainbow body. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. Oh shit, I think we at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Okay. They said so far about 100,000 people have obtained the rainbow body. Well, that correlates to about 144,000. Now, the goddess and myself was talking about the fact is that how products, once you take them, is not to be for a lifetime. Is to get you to this level, to get you to the rainbow body, the golden dragon body, the incorruptible body, the celestial body, the antimantium body, the spiritual body, whatever term that you want to use. She's trying to get you there. And as you spiritualize, you need more nutrients. And it's not the levels in which that the FDA is recommending.
Correct.
Let's break that down, Goddess, as the last portion for tonight.
Well, yeah, I mean, the main component of the scaffolding that needs to be done, which when we're talking about scaffolding, we talk about building this bridge, and it's a lot of layers to the alchemy at first in order to prepare you to not need so much nutrients, because eventually you'll be able to feed directly from the sun. But it's just like any other technology. It starts off big and bulky, and then it almost dissolves over time into pure signal, you know. Um, but yeah, D3. They used to measure it in grams, and then they realized how powerful it was to help activate our DNA because it opens up our D3 receptors to the sun. So then they reduced it to milligrams. Even that was a threat. So they then reduced it to micrograms. Now they even went and took it a step further to introduce what they call international units, quote unquote. And then you'll see it as IU. You can go on Amazon right now and look up D3 international units. The most you'll find, if you're lucky, is like 20, 30,000, 40 or 50,000. But that's not even like a tenth of a gram. It's a pinch of D3. We need several hundreds of thousands of IUs of D3, if not even more than that, to just start off with rebooting the system and really getting the body back introduced to the sun. So yeah, the FDA has been lying, because the first thing you'll find if you start studying this stuff is that they're going to say that there's a heavy amount of what they call potential hypercalcemia or D3 toxicity that will occur if you start taking high doses of D3. Yeah, there are cofactors that need to be taken with it in order for you to be able to consistently take this on a daily basis in order to rebuild your melanin and your connection to the sun. Well, melanin people, none of these standards that are out here for research purposes or to validate what's what, and all of this, none of this is based on melanin, and they don't know anything about melanin because they're not the ones who are running this system of standard and system of standard measurement. They're not melanated, or at least they pretend not to be. But either way, they know that this is one of the number one threats to us actually regaining access. Now you can try to do this on your own. Try to go find some D3, K2, and magnesium, but it's nothing compared to the potency of my medicine and the way that it works. And again, I've been channeling this for 5 years. It can be very dangerous if you do it on your own, but if you do under my care with the way that I've conducted the medicine, I can get you into the heights of a regimen that will fully activate your DNA. You know, I'm just giving you guys one piece of the puzzle, but it is a big puzzle, and it takes time in order to, you know, work into these type of doses, as well, along with other things, other scaffolding that will connect your body back to the sun. So this is what we're going to be doing September 19th through the 21st. We're going to be having some really, really powerful experiences, invoking some really powerful energy, and activating our DNA.
Like the goddess said, our event is September the 19th through the 21st, the Original Americans Heritage Weekend. Give us a call at 910-364-9099 or go to dralimel-bey.com and you will see information concerning DNA activation and plasma regeneration, sacred medicines for the healing of a nation, biogenetic sovereignty, the United Washita Shekamus or chiefs, food availability, tents on the land, which we suggest that if you choose to, yes, definitely come with your tent and you can stay on the land. We also will have sweat lodge or sweat lodge ceremonies, and we will have discussions, lectures. You will hear Archangel Ariel go more in depth about DNA activation and her plasma regeneration medicines, all right, or nutrients. And you will hear myself teach on sovereignty from a mundane level to a universal level. So come on out September the 19th through the 21st. Once again, September the 19th through the 21st. I'm going to do a Umar Johnson. I'm going to say it one more time. September the 19th through the 21st. Okay? So come on out, y'all. And any closing remarks, goddess, before we head out?
Yeah, you know, everybody that is coming out, you're gonna see uh, some really, really powerful, life-changing transformation take place. So, if
True
this is
indeed.
calling out to your spirit, I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to us actually tapping in again and going a lot further, because I know for a fact that now that you are able to work with this system over the course of another 2.5 weeks, by the time we get into this next ceremony, it's going to be pandemonium. So you guys are in for a really, really, really big treat, and we're gonna have some fun while we're doing it. So come on out.
Yeah. And look, I'm telling y'all, this stuff worked. I'm talking about in just one day, I was able to breathe better. Before that, I couldn't walk too far because I would give out a breath. Just within one day, one ritual, one ceremony, just one day of taking her medicine of her nutrients, her vitamins, her minerals, her herbs, I have no problem now. So if you want this work, I suggest you come and get it. You need this work, I suggest you come and get it. You need to have this work, I suggest you come and get it. All right? We out, Nagas. Peace.
Peace.